So this is one of my favorite topics, tactics and hacks, how to be able to identify hot markets. So friends, we're gonna start. I would like you to give me, send me some areas where you live, and then we're gonna be able to analyze those, and not only analyze hot markets, but we're also going to be able to take it a step further tonight. We're gonna be able to identify pockets, because you might have heard of pockets, good pockets, bad pockets, in primarily in Chicago, in the city. But guess what? There are pockets everywhere, including in the suburbs. So tonight we're going to cover one of the most important topics in real estate, which is identifying hot markets. Not only that, but area selection. So one of the first things that you have to do as an investor is be able to identify the areas where you need to invest. And obviously those areas need to be the ones that are going to make you money, okay? Because you can lose tons of money if you invest in poor neighborhoods or poor areas. And in fact, that happened to us when we started, right? So we bought tried to do a flip in Glenview, and we put it in a bad pocket. Not only that, the second rental that we tried to do was bought in a bad pocket. So I wish I had known what I'm going to show you tonight, okay? Because that could have saved us tons of headaches, money, and time. Okay, friends? So we're going to start off by drawing a map within a 10-mile radius. So that's the rule of thumb. 10, no more than, I would say 15 is pushing it. So where you live, you're going to draw a 10-mile radius. So I'm going to show you, there's a tool called mapdevelopers.com. Okay, so this is by Google. And then in here, I'm going to show you, they have some map tools. So we're going to pick the one that says draw a circle tool. Okay, so again, this is mapdevelopers.com, and then go to map tools, draw a circle. Okay, so in here, you are going to be putting in your address. Okay, so I see some comments in the chat. Perfect. Okay, thank you for sharing the areas where you live. So I'm going to put a random address in here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do 9459 West Kelvin Lane, Schiller Park. Okay, and then I'm going to say new circle. Okay, friends, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to make this a lot bigger so you can see it. So what I'm doing here, I'm just picking a random location, okay? So this location is near Rosemont, Franklin Park, Norwich. So what we have to do is start looking into these areas where you live in your local market, because guess what, friends? There are tons of deals where you live, okay? You don't need to go far away, okay? So you have to work within a 10-mile radius. And the reason why is because the minute you start going outside of this mile radius, guess what? If you're going to do a fix and flip or a rental, you're going to be struggling with the management of it. So you're not going to be able to make it as often as you wish. Not only that, but then certain contractors that you're used to working with. Oh, okay. So I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Okay, can you hear me better?
Yes.
You hear me better, John? Okay, yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, John. So once you start going outside of these radius, guess what? You're going to be struggling with the contractors even going that far away. So we have, for instance, some great contractors that are not willing to go that far. So anything beyond 10 miles, I mean, they question that, or they're going to charge you more, right? Or you need to find a new set of contractors, for instance. So it's just not ideal. So remember, the rule of thumb is 10. You can go as far as 15 miles, but that's a little bit pushing it, okay? So I'm going to show you, if I do the 15-mile radius, you're going to see the difference right here. So new circle. Okay, so check this out. So this is 15-mile radius, okay? So if we're by Rosemont, by O'Hare, we can go as far as Highland Highland Park north, and then as far as Bridgeview on the south, and then on the west side we can go as far as Carroll Stream, Wheaton, Chamberg. But for instance, Elgin, that's a little bit too far. Like for instance, we do have a property in Elgin, and ask me how many times we make it over there. So we rarely go there. We have another property in Wheaton, okay? And ask me how many times we've been there. So it's just not feasible. I've been there maybe this year once or twice at the most in 4 months, okay, at the most. So it's just not manageable. So friends, the rule of thumb, 10-mile radius, okay? So once you draw these, then we're gonna, I'm gonna delete the outer circle for now. So once you have these mile radius, we're gonna need to go and look into one of these areas like Maywood, Broadview, Bellwood, Hillside. This is within a 10-mile radius, okay? So we're gonna go into ChicagoDealVault and look at the area reports. So I'm gonna show you certain things that you need to understand to be able to identify some hot markets. So the question is, what determines a hot market? So I'm gonna close this off, minimize this. So what is it that determines a great market? So what determines a hot market is how fast properties are selling, right? So if you're in an area that properties are selling so fast, guess what? That makes it a hot market. And there are many reasons why properties are going to be selling very fast. And reason number one is because it's a great area, right? So it could be a A-type area. So A being the most desirable, D being like a war zone, right? So the better areas, the A areas, are going to tend to have hot markets, and also the B areas, right? B areas, those are the bread and butter. Those are the most affordable homes for households. So we're talking about, as a rule of thumb, if you want to do rentals, you should focus on properties below 150,000, okay? And if you're going to focus on fix and flips, then you have to focus on properties below 250,000. If you start going or looking at properties, let's say for rental, that cost over 150,000, guess what? Your numbers are going to be tight. Your rehabs are going to be more difficult. They're going to take longer. Your holding expenses are going to be greater. And guess what? At the end of the day, you're not going to be making more money. So keep in mind, if you're going to be focusing on rentals, focus on properties that you can buy below 150,000, okay? I would say 95% of our portfolio has costed less than 150,000 for the buy and hold, okay? So we're trying to do a flip right now, and that costed a little bit less than 250. But once you go beyond 250, your numbers are gonna be really, really big, and then the risk is higher, okay? So having said that, let's go ahead and log into the system, because I want to show you what you need to look at to be able to identify hot markets. Okay, so you guys gave me some areas. So the first one that I'm going to take is, somebody gave me Hoffman Estates. So we're going to take a look at a few areas that you sent out. So I'm going to click on area reports, okay? So Hoffman Estates, okay, this is Hoffman Estates. So we're gonna pull up Hoffman Estates, okay? I'm gonna maximize the size of the report so you can see this better. Okay, so in here, we'll just quickly go through the report. I'm sure most of you have seen this. In here, the rule of thumb, friends, the livability score has to be over 75%, okay? So it's right here. That is the area in a nutshell. So if you focus on areas that have a livability score of less than 75, most likely they're not gonna be that easy to get into as far as making it profitable business-wise, to do a buy and hold or to do a fix and flip. So ideally you wanna stay in a livability score of 75 and up, okay? Now, these are obviously very important factors that will affect your property value. You know, if your property is near railroad, if it's near floodplains, commercial zones, those factors are gonna negatively affect the property value, okay? So that's something that you need to keep in mind, that we're gonna highlight those for you. Obviously, crime rates play a big factor, right? So areas that have a high crime rate are not going to be the areas that you want to focus on, okay? And then we have the schools. So here, what you need to look at, when you see red or yellow markers, that means that the schools are not that great. So if you see black markers, that means that the schools are okay. Something that is very important as well to focus on is household income, because this is going to show you the purchasing power of families in this area. Okay, so in this case, the average in Illinois is 57,000, whereas in Hoffman Estates it's 83,000. Okay, so this is obviously higher than the average. It's a great area. Now let's scroll down, and population growth. This is an important factor, right? Whether people are moving into the neighborhood or they're moving away from the neighborhood. Okay, so in this case, Hoffman Estates is growing slightly, right? Only 5%. Now let's scroll down. The industry. This is going to give you an overview of the employers, the type of employers that are in the area. Let's scroll down. Housing occupancy. Here there are 3 factors that you have to focus on. Number 1, the owner occupied is the third one down the list. So the higher the better, because that's going to show pride of ownership. And also renter occupied. Obviously the lower the better, because there are areas that have like 50-50. So there's going to be a lot of turnover if you're going to do a buy and hold. And then vacancy rates are crucial. You've got to focus on areas that have a vacancy rate below 10%, okay? So here we're going to show you the area in a nutshell. So this is, it's hard to see, but it's an A area, Hoffman Estates. And we're going to recommend an approach. In this case, it's going to be cash flow and flip. So let's go ahead and look at one of the most important pieces of information, the sales market analysis in the last 12 months. So here we're going to focus in few indicators that are going to show you whether this is a hot area or not. So this is going to be divided by multi-unit, condos, townhomes, or single-family homes, the detached. Okay, so first of all, friends, we're going to need to understand absorption rate, which is the third indicator down the list. This is computed by having the number of properties sold in a given time, in this case, on a monthly basis. So we're taking the last 12 months and we're determining how many properties have been sold in a month. Okay, so the average is 42 properties get sold in Hoffman Estates on a monthly basis. So this tells you how quickly properties are sold in this particular area. But what's really crucial, friends, it's the next indicator, months of housing supply. So what this tells you is we're going to take all the active listings in the area, okay? And then we're going to divide that by how quickly properties are being sold. So in this case, we're going to take the number of active listings, which is 79. As you can see, the demand, the active listings, the inventory is very low compared to how fast properties are being sold on a monthly basis. So if they're selling 42 homes and there are only 79 homes, okay, available for sale, the months of housing supply is only 1.6. So what does that mean? So it means that, let's assume that we freeze all the active inventory that is for sale in an area. It will only take almost 2 months before all the inventory runs out and it's sold out. 2 months, friends. So that means the lower the months of housing supply, the hotter the area. And let me tell you, for absorption rate, make sure you make a note. Anything that is over 20%, it's a seller's market. Okay, so if the properties are selling, we have 20 properties being sold on a monthly basis on any given market, that's going to determine that it's a seller's market, okay? So if the absorption rate is 20% or higher, it's a seller's market, okay? So these are the two pieces of information that are very crucial to determine. And then the last one is going to be the number of flips that are happening in the area. So in this case, there are 33 flips for condos in Hoffman Estates. Now you may wonder why, okay? So let's look at the data. As you can see, it only takes a month and a half before all the inventory runs out, assuming no inventory comes in the market, right? So the reason why is because properties are moving very fast in Hoffman Estates for condos. Why? Because look at this, the sweet spot to buy. So Hoffman Estates it's an A area, right? So it's a very desirable area. It's got great schools, low crime, great employment, and the sweet spot to buy a condo in this area or a townhome is less than 140. So that's what I was telling you. If you want to do a buy and hold or a fix and flip, if the sweet spot is less than 150, you're going to be making money, okay? It's going to be, the risk is going to be low and you're going to be making money. Therefore, friends, we can see that the number of flips in Hoffman Estates is a lot higher than the number of flips for single family homes, because the entry point price for a condo or a townhome is a lot less. Therefore, this is a hot market. So we can determine that this is a hot market for two reasons. There are many flips happening for condos, and not only that, but it only takes a month and a half before we run out of inventory. So this is a great market. This is a hot market. Okay, so we're going to be taking other markets that you sent me. Now let's pick another one. Okay, so the next one is, we're gonna take Worth. Let's see, Worth. Okay, so now let's take Worth, Cook County. We're gonna quickly go through several of them and then see if it makes sense. So I'm not familiar with Worth. It's too far for us. And let's take a quick look. Let's assume that we're gonna look at a great deal right in Worth, but we have no clue about the area. So in this case, what are the factors observed here? So train tracks, highways. So this is something that we need to be aware of. But let's look at the livability score, friends. So Worth has a livability score of 69. Remember, I told you the rule of thumb is 75 and up. So here, what's happening is that education is not that great. So friends, one of the things that will increase your property values is great schools, right? So people want to move to neighborhoods where they have great schools. So if the area doesn't have great schools, guess what? Population growth is not going to be that big. Not only that, but property values are not going to be that high, and appreciation rates are going to be low when education is F in this case. So let's just quickly look at the numbers. So crime is just okay, below average. Schools, we're going to be looking at the schools. I'm going to show you an interactive map to look at the schools, and then we're going to be looking deeper into certain areas so that we can find the pockets, okay, the good pockets, the bad pockets within an area. So here the household income is a little bit below the average, so 51,000 versus 57,000. Population growth, look at this, it's negative. So one of the factors that I can attribute the negative population growth, so people moving away from Worth, is schools, right? An area that has bad schools will just take families away from it, okay? Demographics right here. And then we're going to scroll down. So this is the employment breakdown. So we care, oh, here, housing occupancy. Remember, let's look at the vacancy. So vacancy is 7.9, so it's almost 8%. Remember, the rule of thumb, it has to be below 10%. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling getting tenants or collectible tenants in these neighborhoods. And then owner occupancy, only 65%. So remember, the higher, the better. Because the higher the renter occupancy, that means the higher the turnover ratio in this area. So now this is Worth, let's see, this is a C area, okay? So we rate this as a C area cash flow approach. Now let's look at whether this is a hot market or not. So in here, first of all, let's look at the absorption rate. Okay, so remember, the higher, the better. So this is the indicator that tells you how quickly properties are moving, how quickly they're selling. So the higher, the better. In this case, For single family home, we have a 9.17. So remember, if it's over 20, that means it's a seller's market. So the demand is very high, but the supply is low. In this case, it's less than 20. Therefore, this is a buyer's market, okay? So I wouldn't say this is a hot market just by looking at this. And then look at this, the months of housing supply. So it's gonna take about 4 months before you run out of inventory. So that means that there's plenty of inventory. People are actually not going into Worth. They're moving away from Worth. And one of the main reasons why is because schools. Okay, so now let's look at the flips. Very few flips for single family homes, a lot more flips for condos, and that again is because of the entry point to buy a a condo versus a single family home. But again, just looking at Hoffman Estates, it just makes more sense to even buy an attached property like a townhome to do a flip in Hoffman Estates than a single family home in Worth, right? Because here you're gonna be paying a lot more money, and guess what? Properties are not moving as fast. And then if you want to do a flip, guess what? You're going to stay in the market for at least, I would say, about 3 months. Just for market time, plus the rehab, add 2 more, so 5 to 6 months, okay, to do a flip in Worth. So this is not a hot market, okay? So this is sort of like a slow market. Let's take a look at another one. Hoffman Estates, okay, Elmwood Park. So let's look at another one. So this is South Shore. You know what? Let me show you South Shore, okay? Because many people are working in the South, and this is a great area to take a look at, right? Because look at this, because I want to show you the opposite, right? So the livability score on the South Shore, first of all, this is by south of Navy Pier, south of downtown, okay? So in here, what we're gonna be observing is train tracks, but look at the livability score, it's 54, so it's too low. Here, crime is like really high, right? Employment is terrible, and schools are not that great. Okay, so in here, so look at this, we have the heat map for the crime. So when the crime is high, we pretty much tend to stay away from it because it's going to take you a while to do a flip or let alone a rental, right? The type of tenants that you're going to be getting in these areas may not be collectible, right? So not only that, but vacancies are going to be high. So let's look at the South Shore market, okay? In here, the household income is 27. It's almost half of the median in Illinois. So it's pretty low. Population growth, look at these, friends. People are moving away, negative 17%. And that is what contributes to this is crime, it's high crime, and then schools, right? And not only that, but employment. Employment is a big driver to the areas. So employment is not that great, then crime is high. Therefore, schools are not the best in here. Now let's look at the housing occupancy. First of all, look at the vacancy, 20% vacancy. So we would not go into this area for sure. Owner occupancy, look at that, 18%. So mostly you have renters and vacant units. So this is not an area that you want to invest. Obviously, this is a D area. And then check this out. So in here, the months of housing supply. So how long does it take before we run out of inventory? So it's going to take four months, 3.5, almost 4 months in each. And then the absorption rate is just very low, right? So they're selling about 10 properties a month. So obviously, this is not a hot market. Now let's look at the number of flips. 69 flips in the area. So why do you think people are doing flips in this area? If the crime is high, schools are not great, employment is poor. Okay, the reason why is because the entry point. Look at this. Okay, so these are going to be flips that are not going to make you much money. And not only that, the problem with this is, let's say you buy them under 38,000, maybe 20,000. The numbers are going to be tight, right? Because if you need to do a rehab on these properties, first of all, getting contractors into these areas might be a challenge. Not only that, but you might need to install security systems into the properties when you do the rehab, because we've had cases or heard of cases where they started the rehab in the areas, and guess what? before the rehab is finished, they come in, they break into the property, and they steal all the copper pipe, appliances, cabinets. So the flips on these properties are going to be a challenge. Not only that, but look at how many days it stays on the market. 120 days. That's 4 months. 4 months on the market plus the rehab. So you're going to be making very little money on these flips, and the risk is very high. So it's totally not worth it. So friends, even though you see this as a hot area to do flips, if the crime is high, employment is bad, stay away from these areas, right? Because it's just going to be very difficult for you to make good money. And not only that, but your safety is at risk in some of these areas. And then if you decide to buy and hold the property, the problem is that the rents are going to be low. So look at this. So rents are low and they stay in the market for at least 2 months. Of course, because the vacancy is 20%, right? So there's going to be not only vacancy, but the turnover of tenants is going to be so high. So you're going to be moving through tenants and like no tomorrow. So this is not a great area. Okay, so let's analyze another one, Elmwood Park. Okay. So we have Elmwood Park. And then we're going to start getting into the pockets, okay? Because once we understand whether an area is hot or not, we're going to look into the pockets. I'm going to show you this really cool tool to find out where the pockets are. So Elmwood Park, I know it's a great area for sure. So yeah, you see livability score 75. So this is the first thing that I look at. Anything over 75, it's awesome. So it's 76, so it's going to be good. So the only thing that is questionable is the employment, right? But other than that, it's going to be great. So let's just scroll down to the numbers. So median income is about the average, 57. Population growth, it's a negative 1.75. So I would say it's sort of stable, 0, -1, -2, plus 2. This is a stable area. So people are not moving away or moving into the area. But now let's take a look at the housing occupancy. What is the vacancy rate here? It's 8%. So it's in the borderline, and then owner occupancy 62% versus renters 29%. So it's a rental market. That is why we recommend the cash flow approach. This is a B area. Now let's look at whether this is a hot market for a townhome or for single family homes. So first of all, let's look at the absorption rate. Remember, anything over 20 is a seller's market. It's not over 20, so it's not a seller's market. And then the months of housing supply. How many months before we run out of inventory? 3, 2, so it's not that hot of a market, right? A hot market is going to have less than 2 months of housing supply. So less than 2, make sure you write that down. And then absorption rate has to be higher than 20 to make it a seller's market. So this is not a hot market. Now let's look at the number of flips. So there are a substantial number of flips, 56 for single family for condos. And again, the reason is because the entry point is low, right? You can buy a condo for less than 88,000. But this is not a hot market, friends. Okay, this is just a stable market. Now let's look at another one, Forest Park. Here, Forest Park. So you see how quickly we're able to analyze. So the more we do, the faster we analyze. So first, we're gonna do this very fast. So Forest Park. Okay, what's the livability score? First of all, factors observed, cemetery, highways. Okay, so livability score is borderline, 70%. So here, cost of living, so it's expensive, right? But other than that, and then employment. So not too many sources of employment. Let's look, crime is in the borderline. Schools are okay. So household income is about the same as the median for Illinois, 50,000. Population growth, friends, it's negative. So obviously this is not a hot market. And then housing occupancy, vacancy is 8%, renter is high, 46, and then owner 46. So this is like a rental place, a rental market. So it's a B area. Now let's look at whether it's a hot market per their absorption rate. No, you see nothing greater than 20%, and then nothing less than 2 months for the months of housing supply. So this is not a hot market, friends. So this is how quickly you can identify. However, there are tons of flips for condos in this area, okay? But still, they stay in the market for about 3 months. Okay, even though there are a lot of flips in this area, it doesn't mean it's a hot market, okay? It doesn't mean you're gonna be making big money, because look at this, look at the spread. If you buy it below 120 and sell it over 150, the spread is not that great. And depending on the rehab amount, this is not an area that we would consider hot, okay? So now, friends, let's look at the pockets, right, in an area. So we found that Hoffman Estates, it's a great area, right? It's a hot area. So I'm going to show you why. So we're going to go back to Hoffman Estates. Hoffman Estates is a hot area because the months of housing supply is less than 2 months, okay? So that means properties are moving very fast, very fast. So they're selling. Not only that, but look at the absorption rate. So it is over 20%. So this is a seller's market. So all the areas that we analyze, Worth, South Shore, Elmwood Park, Forest Park, are not as hot as Hoffman Estates. So Hoffman Estates, it's a hot area, especially, you know, if you want to do flips for condos. Now, what we're going to do is within Hoffman Estates and within any area, there are going to be pockets, right, that you've got to be aware of. So let's just find some awesome deals in Hoffman Estates, and then we're going to identify if those deals are in a good pocket or in a not so great pocket. So we're going to look for Hoffman Estates pre-foreclosures. We're going to search. So these are off-market properties in Hoffman Estates. Oh, okay, we got too many, 128. I'm going to filter them by high equity, so over 50% equity. So what that means is that if the owner owes, let's say, $50,000 to the bank, but the property is worth $100,000, so the owner has $50,000 in equity, which is huge, right? So we're going to be targeting properties with high equity because we're going to have more bargaining power. So we found 11 awesome deals in Hoffman Estates. So we already know Hoffman Estates, it's a hot market. Now let's identify some pockets within Hoffman Estates. So let me show you how easy it is to do that. So I'm just going to pick one of these properties. Okay, so this is a hot deal because, okay, so this is a single family home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. This property is worth between $250,000 to $275,000, and guess what? The owner only owes $17,000. Can you believe that? So they're in pre-foreclosure because they only owe $17,000. So they can eventually lose this home just because they owe $17,000 on the property. So this is huge, friends. But let's find out if this property is in a pocket. Okay, so what we're gonna do is very simple. So we're gonna identify the location of the property. Okay, so here you need to zoom in and then find the cross streets. So here we have Kingsdale. And then if we scroll down, I want to look for, okay, so it's Higgins Road. And then I want to find a bigger one, a bigger street. Let me zoom out. So it's Higgins, and then, okay, this is a big street right here. So let me, where all the strip mall, this is, I just saw it, Barrington. So Barrington and Higgins, okay? So what we're gonna do is, okay, so I'm gonna zoom out. So this big street is Barrington, and then here we have Higgins. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna scroll down and then click on the market overview. So the reports that I show you, those are at the area level, right? So we looked at Hoffman Estates overall. But now what we're gonna do is we have this interactive map of Hoffman Estates right here. So I'm gonna zoom in right here. What's really powerful, friends, let me show you this. If I hover over, you see the darker green? The median listing price is $145. So if I move to the left, Did you see it jumped to 234? So you better not be in this pocket that is worth 100,000 less than these properties. Do you see the difference? So every single neighborhood and suburb has pockets. You've got to be aware of those. So look at this. So here, if you're in this pocket, the darker green in Hoffman Estates, the median listing price is 126. Once you go over here, it's 263. It's more than double, friends. So now let's zoom in. So what I like to do is zoom in and then find the cross streets. So this is Higgins right here. And then this street, let me see, Higgins and then Huntington. We're looking for Barrington, okay? Oh, actually this is where the house is. This is the property, Kingsdale. So this property is in Kingsdale. So this street is Kingsdale right here. And then let me zoom out. And then here, south is Higgins. So the property is right here. So the median listing price is 269 right here. So the subject property is right here. So when you hover over, remember the ARV on the property, we said is between 250 to 275. It's right on the dot. You see the median listing price in this neighborhood is 269. And friends, if you were to do driving for dollars, guess what? You would not be able to identify the price drop. So if we go to the west, look at this. So from 260, it's gonna drop to 111,000. So half the value. The minute you go west of, let me see this street. It is Hunting, what's the name of the street? Let me zoom in. It is Huntington. So the minute you go west of Huntington, guess what? The property values are gonna drop by more than 50%, okay? Look at this pocket. So this is one of the things that I wish we knew when we started in real estate, because guess what? Even though we bought a property in Glenview, which is a great area, just like Hoffman Estates, they all have pockets. So we bought a property in not the best pocket. So I wish we had had this tool available to us back then. And that is why we implemented this map that is going to show you the pockets in the areas. So this is a perfect example how drastic prices drop between one neighborhood to the other one. So this is a pocket where you do not want to buy a property in Hoffman Estates, okay? So again, the way to identify those pockets is by finding the property location and then scrolling down and going to the market overview. And in here, you will also find the schools. So if we continue to scroll down, this is the crime real time, okay, in this neighborhood. So let me show you the map. And then if we scroll down, we're gonna see the schools real time. So right here, you can even hover over the schools to see the rankings, okay? So all you need to do is obviously identify where the property is located, and then you're gonna be the schools real time. So all the schools, as you can see in Hoffman Estates, are really good. So you have 9, 8, and 10. So that is why Hoffman Estates, it's a hot area, right? So prices are high, but for attached, meaning condos, duplexes, townhomes, there are a lot of flips happening because people want to get into a great area that is still affordable. So this is something that you need to take a look at the schools. That's going to drive the property values up. And then demographics, this is what I show you on the area analysis in Hoffman Estates, but this is at the zip code level, okay? So home owners, 85%, so this is what I told you that is important. The higher the better, because this is gonna show pride of ownership, right? And then the household median income is 73%. Remember the average in Illinois, it's 57. So this is obviously a great area. So this is how you identify pockets in the suburbs. And friends, we're gonna take this even a step further, right? So what we've done is we have all these areas analyzed, right, that you gave us. we have over 200 areas. We have about 250 areas in Illinois, including neighborhoods, right? Analyzed. So now, what we wanted to find out is, okay, tell me, out of all these areas, what are the areas that are hot areas, like A areas, very desirable areas, that the entry level is still not so expensive and the rents are high, okay? So the way we do that is as follows. Let me show you. So we have a spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm gonna show you. Okay, we have a couple of spreadsheets. I'm gonna pull these hot markets. Okay, so this is where we put it, all the areas. So all the areas that we analyze are in this spreadsheet. If you don't have access to this, just let us know. So the way we do that is we're gonna query this spreadsheet by doing a sort. So I'm gonna click on sort. Oh, perfect. This is my favorite search. So the way you do that is all the components from the area analysis report are gonna be here. So what I'm gonna ask is, give me the best area, so the area type A through D, in order the higher. So give me the top areas that the sweet spot to buy a single family home is from smallest to largest, so it's the cheapest, and that the average rental income for a 3-bedroom is the highest. You see what I mean? So again, what this means is give me the top areas that are not so expensive to buy a single family home and that I can collect the highest rents. And then click OK. And then boom. So I can scroll up to the top and it's going to give me the top areas. So Antioch, Flossmoor. Obviously, these areas are far away from us. So we just take a look at it and then we just scroll down. Crazy, like Tinley Park, Cary, South Elgin. Des Plaines. Des Plaines is close, right? Des Plaines is within the 10-mile radius that we drew before. So why is this a great area? Because Des Plaines, let's pull up Des Plaines. So we flag Des Plaines as a hot area that we can still buy a single family home for not so much and then collect high rents. And it's still a hot market. It's an A area, Des Plaines. So why is that? So let me show you. Let's pull up Des Plaines. And then we're gonna find some pockets in Des Plaines. We're gonna find some awesome deals. So let's just quickly look. Okay, we're pros, right? That area analysis, friends. So I'm gonna show you the report as a pro. So first of all, Des Plaines. I wanna see the livability score. What is it? Factors observed, train tracks, highways, livability score 85. Okay, so that tells me this is an A area. Everything looks good. Now, what I want to know is, what is the absorption rate? How fast are properties selling in Des Plaines? And not only that, but what's the months of housing supply? So how long does it take before all the properties are sold out, assuming that no properties are put back in the market? So obviously this is a safe area. Schools are great. So now let's scroll down. The household income is greater, 65,000 compared to the median of 57. Population growth, this is stable. Okay, it's a stable area. Now let's look at the housing supply. So the vacancy is 4%. The renter occupancy is 19% and owner occupancy is 76%. So 76% is pretty high, right? There's a great ownership pride in here. This is an A area. Now let's look at the key numbers, friends. Okay, so absorption rate. Remember that I told you the rule of thumb, if it's over 20, it's a seller's market. Well, this is by far a seller's market. So this is a great area. Remember what I said, the rule of thumb, it has to be below 2 months of housing supply. Okay, so this is, it meets the criteria for condos, townhomes, and it's almost right there in the borderline for single family home. Okay, now let's look at the sweet spot to buy. Look at the prices. So the prices for a townhome, for a condo, it's still very, very affordable, right? to be able to get into this area. That is why, look at this, how many flips are happening in this plains? Because it's a very desirable area. And I told you, remember the sweet spot to buy, if you want to do a rental, it has to be below 150. If you want to do a flip, it has to be below 250. So this meets the criteria. That is why this is an extremely hot market, this plains. So if you want to do flips in this plains, I mean, it's going to be awesome, because even look at the market time. You buy a condo in this plains, you're going to sell it for top dollars within 2 months. Okay, and you can do the same thing for a single family home, but obviously the entry point, it's a little bit higher, right? So in this case, when we bought a property in this plains, it was below 200,000, okay? It needed some rehab, but we bought it at a great price. So properties, single family homes, you should be selling those after they've been rehabbed for over 270, okay? And they're gonna stay in the market for over 2.5 months. But right here, this is how we're able to identify hot markets in this plains. Now, let's find the pockets in this plains. So I'm gonna go back to the pre-foreclosures. I'm gonna clear Hoffman Estates, and then I'm gonna target these plains, right? And then we're gonna see the hot spots and pockets, so these plains. So let's find some awesome deals in these plains that have great equity, off markets, pre-foreclosure. So these properties are technically not for sale, so these are owned by distressed owners. We found 15 awesome deals. So right here, all of them in this plain. So I'm gonna click on any one of them. 2313 Birch Street. Okay, so this is a single family home, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 16, it's pretty big, 1,800 square feet. Okay, so the owner owes 142,000. This property could be worth twice as much. So the equity the equity in this property is like 150,000 at least. And believe it or not, this owner may lose the property because of it. Okay, so now let's find out where this property is located. Okay, so it's Tui Avenue and then Mannheim. So it's east of Mannheim and north of Tui. So all I need to do is go to the market overview. And then right here we have these plains. And then let's find Mannheim. And then, oh, Mannheim is right here. Oh, and this is Tui. So let me show you. So this is Mannheim, friends, right here. And then Tui is right here. So this property is right here. So it's east of Mannheim and north of Tui. It's very close in between this forest preserve and Mannheim. So let's just go down. So this property is between the forest preserve and Mannheim. So when I hover over, the median listing price is 218. Oh, look at this, 218. If it is, I'm gonna zoom in. So this is, what street is this? This is, let me zoom in because the price changed. Maple. So look at this. So if the property is east of Maple, the listing median price is 218. West of Maple, 175, friends. You see the difference? 218, 175. It's a difference of about $40,000. Can you believe that? If you go east of Maple and west of Maple, there's a difference of about $40,000. And guess what, friends? If you drive east or west of Maple, guess what? You will not notice the difference. That is why this is such an important tool. So now let's go up and see if this is east or west of Maple. So Maple, if I zoom in, it's right here. So the property is on the east side of Maple. So the listing median prices in this neighborhood is right here. It's 218. Okay, so, but obviously this is the median listing prices in this neighborhood. Okay, to be able to identify the actual ARV on the property, we need to pull the comps. Okay, so but what I want to show you in here is the pockets. Okay, so this is in a good pocket considering that if the property was on the west side of Maple, then your property would be worth about an average of 40,000 less, right? And if you were to drive by, you would not be able to identify that difference, friends. So this property is in the right pocket. So obviously, we would need to double check the ARV, pull the comps, and let me just show you how easy it is. All you need to do is click on the comps and then click on search. So we can tweak how far, how within a 2-mile radius, how far back. I'm just gonna, for sakes, do 12 months back and then search. So 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, sold in the last year within a 2-mile radius. And we're gonna plot those on the map. Okay, so we got quite a few comps. We're gonna see them on the map, okay? So what's really cool, friends, look, so these properties that are way, if I zoom in, these properties that are way over here are not gonna be a comp, right? So we're just gonna be focusing on the properties that are east of Maple, right? Which is these two. So these sold for 300, these sold for 290, okay? So that is why this property, if we average out all the comps, actually I'm gonna remove this comp because that's not a comp. So all I need to do is uncheck that or click on remove from comps because these are on the west side of Maple. So I'm just gonna remove these. What happens if we go south of Tui, friends, on the market analysis? Let's just hover over south of Tui. So I just need to go, Tui is right here. If I go south of Tui, guess what? The property prices goes up, 245. Here is 218, 245. Okay, so if you go south, like this comp is in a neighborhood, it's in a pocket that the median listing price is 245 and over here is 218. So obviously this is not a comp. So I'm gonna remove this from my comps. So right now I only have 2 comps within a 1-mile radius. So my ARV is 295 on this property. So I can accurately say that this property could be worth 295,000 and the owner owes half of it. So this is indeed an awesome deal, friends. Okay, but what I wanted to show you tonight is how powerful is to just, without doing driving for dollars, understanding where the hot markets are, and then being able to identify pockets, okay, within the hot markets, because Des Plaines is a hot market, but within the hot market, guess what? You still have pockets that you've got to be aware of. If you go south of Tui, guess what? Your property is gonna be worth 245 at least, the median listing price, versus over here 175. Can you imagine? So check this out. If you go west of Maple and then north of Tui, the property value is about between 175 to 245. That's a difference of 65, almost $70,000, friends. The minute you go north of Tui and west of Maple. Can you believe that? Your property value could drop significantly, like 60,000. And this is within an A area, okay, friends? So I just want to emphasize how critical it is for you to understand pockets within hot markets, okay? Okay, friends, so let's just quickly summarize what I show you today. So what I show you today is, and I'm gonna, number one, you've got to understand absorption rates. So anything that is over 20, that means it's a seller market. This tells you that how quickly the properties are moving or selling in a market. And then the months of housing supply, how many months before all the inventory runs out? Okay, so the lower, the better. So below 2 months, it's a seller's market, and absorption rate over 20%, it's a seller's market. So it's a hot market. And then the flips also is gonna be an indicator of a hot market, right? Because the low entry point to buy a condo in Des Plaines. But on top of that, friends, you've got to make sure that you identify the pockets within an area. And I want to emphasize, you will not notice the difference in property values when you do driving for dollars, right? If you go north of Tui, versus south of Tui, you may not be able to distinguish that the property values are going to differ about 60,000. So it's just a huge difference. So make sure, friends, that you use the market overview tool in conjunction with the area analysis reports. And when you pull the comps, obviously you want to pull the comps that are within the pocket that the subject property is, right? So I don't want to pull any properties that are south of Tui because they're going to be more expensive, or west of Maple, right? So this is going to show you how you can easily come up with such an accurate ARV like a pro, like if you were a real estate broker, okay? It is that simple. So by understanding pockets, and let me tell you, even if you were a real estate broker, they don't have access in the MLS to this interactive map. So even if you're a broker and have access to the MLS, guess what? You are not going to be able to know where the hot pockets or the bad pockets are within a neighborhood. So we have that ability. We give you that information. Why? Because it beat us big time 2.5 years ago. So I want to make sure that you don't go through what we went through. So make sure, friends, you know the pockets within a great neighborhood, okay? And you compare apples with apples when you pull your comps, like just this example in this plane. Okay, friends, so I'm gonna open up the line. For those of you, if you have any questions, you can send them via the chat, or let me see if there are any questions. Can you please, prospect? Oh, check for flooding. Okay, so check for flooding. That's a great point. Somebody said check for flooding. Here we have a flooding tab, okay? So let me show you how it works. Because this place has a lot of rivers, so all you need to do is copy the address, but just by looking at the property, it's far away from the river, right? But let me show you how easy it is. So click on flooding, and then all you need to do is put the property address right here, and then search. Okay, so the property is near the river, but it's not in a floodplain. Otherwise, the house icon would be red, okay? So it is safe, but because you don't want to buy a property in a floodplain area. Okay, let me see any other questions. Okay, so again, and then I show you how you can identify hot markets in the spreadsheet. So we give this spreadsheet to Blue Angel members. So if you don't have this spreadsheet, please send us an email to support@ChicagoDealVault, and then we're gonna send you this spreadsheet, because this is so powerful, friends, because all you need to do is just ask questions, right? Like, give me the areas that have the highest population growth. Give me the areas that have the best or the hottest markets. Give me the areas that have the highest number of flips. So this is how easy you can query the data. So I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to add a new filter. So give me number of flips. So I want to know the number of flips, highest to lowest. So give me the areas. This is going to be a great indicator, the loop, right? So the loop is going to have the highest number of flips. Then South Holland, Matson. So here I just scroll to the right to see the number of flips. Okay, so 438 for the loop, right? Right here as number one, number of flips. So it is that simple, friends, how you can filter the information to find out where the flips are happening. Cicero, it's another one. We're doing a flip, in fact, in Cicero. Why did we buy in Cicero? Because we want to do a flip. So Cicero is number 7 in areas to do a flip, okay? So it's not like we do mini, mo, pick a tiger by the toe. No, we come and see the numbers, right? So we know what areas we need to invest. Not only that, but we check the pockets.
Hi, hey, Joe.
Okay, so questions on the line. So I'm going to open up the line for questions. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Joe. Good
Yes.
evening.
Good evening.
Can you go back on the spreadsheet? I saw Manhattan. Can you please show me that?
Yeah, so let's go back to the spreadsheet. Where is Manhattan? Let me search for it. So Manhattan. Let me see, I have too many windows. No.
No, you don't have.
No, if we don't have it, send us a message and then we're going to have it ready in 24 hours.
I sent you a mail to you yesterday night.
Oh, perfect. So we should have it by tomorrow or so.
Please.
Yeah, we're going to put it on the portal. Yeah. So this spreadsheet is extremely powerful, friends, because this is how you're able to identify hot markets and bad markets. Also, markets where you don't want to be, right? So I can say, for instance, crime, right? I can sort by crime. Like, for instance, I don't want to be, so I'm going to show you the areas that are the most dangerous, for instance, crime-wise. So I'm going to go up here. Gresham, Bellwood Crane, Washington Heights, Chatham, Bellwood, and so forth. So these are the areas that have the highest crime. So just by looking at the top 3, we're not going to even drive into these areas. You see how easy it is to ask questions to the spreadsheet? So friends, any other questions? I'm going to open up the line for questions.
Right now,
any other questions?
Properties, it does not matter as long as they're properties in an area you may be interested.
Okay, so
How do we access the spreadsheet?
Oh, John, if you don't have it, please send us an email and then we're going to send you the spreadsheet, because we update this spreadsheet every single month. We're adding new areas, we're adding new data. So send us an email and we'll send it to you, John, because I know you're a Blue Angel member. So we'll send this spreadsheet to you.
Okay, then it comes up on the home page there.
Exactly. So we'll send it to you. Any other questions, friends? Let me look at the chat. Okay, thank you, Susan.
Can I message you the address to that number 713?
Yeah, of course, Ismail. Send me the address to support@chicagodealvault.com.
That is 312-765-7733. To that number?
Yes.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, friends. So thank you for joining tonight. And then please remember to be able to identify hot markets and identify hot pockets within the area. Okay, so we'll send the replay tonight or tomorrow. So thank you, friends, for joining. And then please stay tuned. We're going to have an event. I want to bring this up on this Sunday. This is going to be really cool. Let me show you that before we hang up. Make sure you come. So we bought a property last week, and we're going to do an inspection on it, live inspection. We're going to have Joe inspect the property, and then this is going to be a training experience for you. Look at this. So we have educational approach to home inspection. So Joe is going to tell you what to look for in a property. You know, identify the hot ticket items like the roof, mechanicals, foundation, issues that are going to cost you money that you need to be aware of. So when you do your due diligence on a property, you've got to know the things that you have to look at on a property from the outside and the inside. So Joe is going to show you how to do that. So it's going to be live. We're going to be meeting at the property. That's in South Cicero. Okay, so make sure you come. It's next Sunday at 1:30. Okay, it's going to be a very cool hands-on property tour inspection, friends. So make sure you come. It's only for members. So mark your calendar for this coming Sunday at 1:30. Okay, perfect, friends. So thank you for joining tonight, and then I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Have a great night.
Thank you, Hugo.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Hugo.
Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. Have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing you Sunday.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.